East before we turned. How long have we been going in this direction? Where in the hell are we? Okay, guys.
When the first man gets down to 10 gallons of gas, we'll all ditch in the water together. Does everyone understand that?
Radio Man Baker was the last one to hear anything.
Foxterre 28, this is Port Everglades. Do you read me over?
He knew from their weakening radio signals that they were heading out to sea.
This is Port Everglades, FT28, do you read me over? Foxterre 28, do you read me over?
Nothing was ever heard from them again. The final twist to the mystery that night was when a Martin Mariner rescue plane set out to look for them. 27 minutes later, it too vanished into thin air. Solving the Bermuda Triangle's most iconic mystery will take all Phil's experience. To start with, he believes he can find a straightforward explanation for why no trace of Flight 19 was ever found. It may also explain why so many others disappear without a trace. The answer lies in Miami. This is the headquarters of the 7th District Miami Coast Guard, the largest and busiest in the world. Phil wants to know how it's possible Flight 19 could have disappeared without a trace, why no bodies and no wreckage were ever found. Were they looking in the wrong place, or was there some other reason? Commander Camilo Bazzano may have the answers.
So if you take it back to 1945,
yes,
we had no technology,
right,
probably 200 miles offshore. You had a rough sea, rain showers, completely overcast.
Very difficult.
Any chance of finding?
Very difficult, yes. Just to give you some perspective just of today, even if we do our search as perfectly as we possibly can in the most benign weather conditions, flat seas, no wind, perfect search conditions for the aircraft and crew, our best percentage of finding someone, what we call a probability of detection, is 78%.
We're going down. Going down.
Those aircraft would have sunk very quickly. Essentially, if you're not looking in the first hour of them being reported lost and having an asset on scene, they're essentially looking for persons in the water.
In perfect conditions, the planes would have floated for 2 minutes. But the seas were rough that night, and the Avengers would have sunk within seconds. The Coast Guard has devised a potentially dangerous exercise in order to demonstrate how difficult it is to find anyone or anything at sea.
Search conditions today are pretty much ideal. Pretty much light winds, seas are probably about 2 feet or less. Excellent visibility.
A second helicopter is about to drop an experienced swimmer in the water. In a few minutes, they'll see if they can find him again.
What we'll do is we'll kind of go out about 200 yards off to the left of them there. And then we'll go up and we'll see how close we have to be to actually find them.
With 30 minutes of fuel left and the current pulling the swimmer further north every minute, the pressure's on. But at least this time, they know roughly where he is.
We got swimmers, I believe, out there at 11 o'clock. Keep your turn in. Keep your turn in. Keep your turn in. Coming up at 12 o'clock. Roll out.
You can see how the white caps breaking right around them makes them really hard to see. You can barely see the man like this, and he's wearing an orange neoprene suit and a big old snorkel on top. And basically you need to fly right over top of him to be able to see him. At nighttime, it'd be almost impossible, I would say, to see him unless you had an extremely bright moon on flat seas.
A successful recovery. But back in 1945, the weather was bad. For 6 days, the largest air-sea rescue since the war searched in vain. Nothing was ever found.
I'm not surprised they disappeared without a trace, because that does happen occasionally here for people that we try to go look for. Sometimes we don't find anybody, even to this day. But if the weather conditions are as bad as described to me, then there'd probably be very little evidence of any kind of debris field or oil slick on the surface of the water even an hour after the incident took place.
So even today, the chances of finding anyone alive or any evidence of Flight 19 would be nil. But it is still not enough to explain why the flight went so badly wrong. Phil is convinced there is something else. Many who know these waters believe they are the most dangerous in the world. But how do they get such a fearsome reputation? There is an old mariner's tale that describes the sea literally opening up and swallowing ships. Could there be any truth in this? The first clue emerged in 1985 when cameras captured these extraordinary pictures. An oil platform in the North Sea punctured a vast gas pocket beneath the seafloor and almost sank. Gas deposits like this exist all around the coastlines of the world. The Bermuda Triangle is no exception. Trapped in the sediment, the gas is highly volatile. An undersea earthquake or landslide could release it into the waters above. Could gas bubbles really create a hole in the ocean? Naval physicist Professor Bruce Donato has come to Florida to find out.
We have a rough idea. I need to refine this theory, but we have a rough idea what it's going to take to sink that boat. So I'm real excited. I think we're going to be able to do it.
Bruce is going to try and sink this boat in the ocean off this beach in order to simulate if ships like these can sink in a mass of gas bubbles. Up until now, it's all been theory. The experiment is large scale and will be the first of its kind.
Then it goes to the manifold.
Bruce is going to be helped on the practical side by Hollywood special effects designer Phil Beck. They have just 2 days.
I'm 50-50 on it. I mean, the theory seems like it's right to me, but I don't know. It's a lot of bubbles.
No one has ever attempted an experiment like this before. The aim is to recreate a small-scale methane gas eruption similar to the one that happened in the North Sea. So they're building a massive lattice of pipes which will then be sunk onto the sea floor. They will then pump a vast amount of air, which has similar properties to methane, into the lattice. The air will then be forced out of the pipes through small holes into the water above.
My experience in the laboratory is that it takes a lot more bubbles than you might think to sink something. To be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen here. We'll just have to wait and see.